Hello children, welcome to story time with me, and today's story is The Lonely Giraffe. Fabulous front cover. Giraffes are one of my favourite animals. Giraffes, pandas and dogs. I just love them. I'll read you the blurb. Poor Giraffe is feeling left out. His long neck means that he's just too far away from the action. The other animals on the jungle floor can barely hear his distant voice, and when they are up in the trees, Giraffe startles them with his big head so high off the ground. But when the river bursts its banks and only the monkeys and the birds can climb or fly to safety, it's time to forget their worries and work together. The Lonely Giraffe. Do you know that all giraffes have different blotches or patches on their skin? No two are the same. Interesting fact. So off we go. The jungle animals were really quite a friendly bunch. Every day the cockatoos would first shake their feathers and wake up the other animals. The elephants would trumpet good morning, and the snakes would hiss hello. Even the grumpy lion managed a friendly growl. So there they all are, children, saying good morning to each other. All the animals met near the river for breakfast every morning to discuss the jungle news. Everyone took their turn to speak, but no one listened to Giraffe. The giraffe was too tall. By the time he'd spread his spindly legs and lowered his head to the ground, the other animals had lost interest. There he is, trying to spread his legs so that he can be low enough down to join in the conversation with the other animals. But it's taken him too long, and they've got sort of a bit tired of waiting when off they've gone. So the giraffe would lift his long neck and wander off. He spent all day with his head in the trees, eating the sweetest leaves. He didn't realise that the birds and the monkeys that lived in the trees were frightened of his large head suddenly appearing in the treetops, or that the small animals on the ground ran away because they were scared of being trodden on. So here we can see the animals in the tall trees. Suddenly that lovely, lovely giraffe has just gone up really to get some food. He doesn't want to harm anyone. And they're startled, which means it's made them jump basically and a little bit worried. And the animals on the ground are running away because he's a very tall, towering figure to them, isn't he? In the end, the lonely giraffe didn't bother trying to speak to anyone. He moved from tree to tree, munching on the leaves, and the jungle creatures went on avoiding him. That was how it went on for the whole of the long, dry summer. Here he is, munching on his leaves, and here we have some of the animals and birds avoiding him. Avoiding means staying out of his way. When the rainy season came, the large animals headed for the high ground. The small creatures sheltered in the bushes near the river, and the monkeys took cover in the trees. The rain poured down for days and days. The jungle animals became frightened that the river would burst its banks. "Don't worry," said the alligator. "I'll carry you safe to safety in my big, wide jaws." But the animals didn't trust him. There we are. They're worried. He's saying, "I will carry you in my big, wide jaws." But they didn't trust him. And I don't think I would either. As the river rose, the jungle creatures became even more frightened. They huddled together beneath the bushes, and no one heard the distant roar until the leopard pricked up his ears, but nobody could think what it was. The giraffe looked over the heads of the animals on the ground. His big eyes widened like saucers, and he slowly bent his spotted neck until the worried creatures could hear him. So here we have the animals there, hiding and worrying because they're not sure who's making the noise. And there's our lovely gentle giraffe, lowering his head so that the other animals can hear him. The river is flooding, said the giraffe in a surprisingly squeaky voice. A wall of water is racing down the valley. What can we do? Asked the gazelle. It's too late to run away. We'll all be drowned, squeaked the little mouse, or the alligator will eat us, hissed the snake. Fabulous illustrations, illustrations which are pictures in this book, children. Climb up here, called the monkey from the treetops. The river won't reach the high branches. Hurry, squawked the cockatoo. I can see the water coming. The jungle animals raced to the trees, but some of them could not climb the slippery tree trunks. Their hooves and tails were not made for climbing. The roaring water rushed closer, and the animals shivered with fright. So you can see, children, some of the animals that just weren't actually able to climb those large trees to safety. Then the giraffe had an idea. He bent his knees and spoke to the animals. Climb onto my back, he squeaked in his high voice. The water is almost here. The river was lapping around the creatures. The monkey jumped on the giraffe's neck and called to the others. The warthog was next to carefully climb on. One by one, the animals helped each other to safety. There they are, children, getting onto the giraffe's neck. Can you spot the different animals? There's a monkey, a warthog, a gazelle, and a rabbit, and is that a cockatoo? I'm not quite sure what that bird is. Maybe you could find out for me. Then the giraffe straightened his knees as the water flooded the jungle. He stretched up his long neck, and the last few animals hurried into the branches, helped by the chattering monkeys. The water crashed around the giraffe's strong legs and sprayed the animals in the trees. So you can see, children, that as high as they are, that water is still spraying them, and they're right in the treetops. Then the river rushed on. The water slowly sank back to the ground, and the sun came out from behind the clouds. The giraffe poked his head up into the high branches, and the animal slid down his back to the damp earth. There they are, sliding down. And our wonderful, tall and long-necked giraffe is making almost a perfect slide for them to come down safely, isn't he? Excuse me, children. From that day on, the giraffe was never lonely again. The jungle animals would wait for the giraffe to lower his head and join in the conversation. The birds and monkeys in the trees were no longer afraid of the giraffe's big head. The cockatoos would find the sweetest leaves for the brave The elephants would trumpet good morning, and the snakes would hiss hello, and the grumpy lion would pretend to growl before falling asleep in the sunshine. There they all are, children, saying good morning to him. And I think in this picture, the giraffe and the animals look much happier. What do you think? And our closing page is what pattern, children? What does that pattern remind you of? Talk to a grown-up. I hope you enjoyed that story. I did. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon and try and find another super story for you. Take care, children.